Hello, freaks, geeks, basement dwellers, degenerates, and oddballs online. Welcome to Warzone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Skruffytalez. And another video with some recording issues. Had to redo something like 20 minutes of it. So annoying. Anyway, in this video, we will be taking a look at some of the failed Russian advances at Shakova and the situation ongoing in and around Pokrovsk, and I'm gonna get stuck on a long rant about urban warfare and why Pokrovsk will hold into 2026, because the pro-Russian crowd, the pro-Russian influencers, they're beginning to speculate that Pokrovsk will fall before the end of the year here in 2025. And I'm gonna stick my chin out and say nope. Pokrovsk will hold well into 2026, and I will go a bit into detail why that is. Well, it's going to be a rant for 10 minutes. Anyway, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. Let's get into it. So, I recorded 20 minutes and tried to was gonna do some editing, and the recording just vanished. It did not save itself for whatever reason. So now I'm gonna have to redo it all again. I'm so fed up with this bullshit. Anyway, I was gonna show you, this is my Pokrovsk 73's map. So we're zooming in real quick. Take a look. This is where Russia during the weekend tried to make a push onto this bridge that was blown up. But take a look over here. Oh Jesus. Okay, so one Russian at least made it across this bridge. Oh my God, it was still intact. So someone came up here, realized this is bullshit. We're gonna move over here instead, and got schwacked. But I saw in my comments that someone said that this bridge had been blown up before the Russian mechanized assault, and that means that all the Russian troops that came up this way advanced on a bridge that was already destroyed, which means it was a massive fuck up for the Russians if true. But I can't believe that the Russians are that stupid that they launched such a big assault against a bridge that was already destroyed. That would be incredibly stupid. And then, of course, I'm annoyed because I've already recorded this. Now I'm doing it again. And, of course, we knew the Russians came up this way and made a turn. We came down here. But apparently, and that was on the 10th or something, on the 13th, 14th, 13th, yesterday, the Russians tried to make this push, and they tried to make it to this bridge instead. This push here that turned around more than likely was aiming for that bridge as well, but they turned around when this attack failed. Russia tried this attack on the 13th and got schwacked. Unclear if any Russians dismounted in this windbreak here. Yeah. Moving over here to Toretsk, we see some interesting things on the ISW map. Take a look at this. Ukraine has pushed the Russians back a bit, widening the corridor into this part of the battlefield, meaning the Ukrainians here are not trapped with their backs against the lakes and the dams. So why Ukraine wants to hold territory here, I don't know. But maybe it's just to fix Russian units in place. If the Russians do push up to the lake, then they can move all of these troops to other places. So maybe the Ukrainians have decided, you know what, let's try and hold here, fix the Russians in place, and slow down their advance. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a general. So, yeah. Where the hell am I? Konstantinivka. So, that, yeah, and I was talking about other stuff as well. And I had the issues with my latest video, well, last video as well, right? I can't even talk. But jumping briefly over to my map, I was talking about Pokrovsk before then there. Shakova is much safer. Ukraine has pushed back the Russians over here, meaning you can run logistics through Sofika down from Toretsk, and Ukraine has secured logistics coming in here from the northwest into Shakova as well. So Shakova is more safe. this week than it was before the weekend. Ukraine has more than likely pushed into this entire area here, cutting off and isolating the Shakovo pocket once again. But since the Russians did make a big push out of the Rodinsky pocket north, more than likely the troops in Boykivka are cut off for the Ukrainians. So the question is if Ukraine won't try and push out of Nikhanorivka south to link up with Boykivka before the Russians make a strong push to reclaim this territory down here. We'll see how everything plays out. And then we headed down here. We know that the Russians are outside of this factory trying to push in. It's not that far for them to push up here. 3 to 4 kilometers from this position to the E50 highway. This is where Russia wants to go. Talking about Pokrovsk again. Pro-Russian YouTubers have predicted that Pokrovsk will fall before the end of the year, before the end of 2026. Because the pro-Russian YouTubers are claiming that Russia has pushed all the way up here and are in control of this part of the battlefield here. I mean, they're close, definitely. But there is nothing to indicate that they are up here. Because if we head on over to the Ukraine control map, you can see here there are no red or blue dots indicating any activity up here. You can see here this red dot is from the 4th, from the 3rd. So yeah, Ukraine is in control of the high-rise buildings. Here we have on the 5th, Russia pushing up, and here on the 9th, Russian position. So the Russians have advanced here before the weekend, reaching this small suburb here, or this small village. If we move over here to the factory north of Adachna, you can see here, on the 8th, we can see updates that the Russians made it up here. So Ukraine control map does update every now and then when you have geolocated confirmed Russian presence or Ukrainian presence. And if the Russians were up here, we would be seeing dots up here telling us that there was Russian activity up here, right? That's just a thing. And we're not seeing it. And we're not seeing Russian activity in the high-rise buildings either. So this part here is not under Russian control at all. And the conclusion is that Russian maps are unpredictable and unreliable at best. So why people trust the pro-Russian YouTubers is a big mystery, because those maps are unreliable as hell, the maps that they're using. So no confirmed activity, Russian activity up here at all. And this is what the pro-Russians base the argument on, that Pokrovsk will fall before the end of the year. And like I said before the video broke down on me, just now, when Ukraine entered into Kursk, I said that there was no way in hell, no chance in hell that Ukraine would be pushed out in 2024, and that battle would be ongoing, well into 2025, 3 or 4 months into 2025. And the Vatniks got upset and said, haha, Kursk will be liberated by Russia in 1 or 2 months. So yeah, I'm gonna stick my chin out and say Pokrovsk will not fall in 2026. In 2025. In fact, the battle for Pokrovsk will continue well into 2026. Even if Russia does push up from Kotlyne all the way up to the E50 highway, and this, I think they might manage this move in 2025. Not unrealistic. It's 3 to 4 kilometers. So we should expect the Russians reaching the E50 in 2025. I think that might actually happen. But that does not cut logistics into Pokrovsk. Ukraine still has Rishne. This supply line here might be in trouble if the Russians come up here. But they can still move through here and then use dirt tracks and country roads and tractor roads coming into Pokrovsk. And they can also drive all the way over here to link up with the highway and come in. Also, Russia is right outside of Rodinsk, but Ukraine is moving reinforcements and supplies into Rodinsk, making sure Russia can't take this town. So if Ukraine can move supplies and reinforcements into Rodinsk, they more than likely can also move troops and reinforcements and supplies past Rodinsk, despite the drone coverage, and coming in from the north and supplying Pokrovsk. So even if Russia reaches the E50, Pokrovsk can still fight on, and will more than likely Ukrainians will more than likely keep fighting in Pokrovsk well into 2026, despite pro-Russian YouTubers predicting that Pokrovsk will fall before the year's end, before we reach 2026. So it's always fun redoing stuff you've been doing for 20-25 minutes. What the hell is going on? What's this? Balahan. When is this from? From the 11th. Russian positions in Balahan on the 11th. I've totally missed this. I mean, we've been talking about the Russians coming up this way and trying to push up to the west of Novoekonomichne, right? But they've actually made it all the way to Balahan. Oh, I totally missed this. There you go. This was not in the previous video or the first recording. Interesting. Well, we'll see what that entails. And this is on the 9th. Russian battalion hits Ukrainian position in Balahan on the 9th. And then on the 11th, Russian positions are hit. How about that? So Russia is making a move coming in from the east towards Mirnorod. How about that? You see? So here you have a geolocated Russian position on the 11th at Balahan. No geolocated Russian positions here deep into Pokrovsk or in the high-rise buildings here. So yeah. So Pokrovsk will more than likely not be taken by Russia in 2025. Hell, Russia can't even take Rodinsk, and they can't even take Shakove, much smaller towns. How the hell are they supposed to take Pokrovsk in a few short months? It's not gonna happen. Russia might very well push all the way to the E50. This is super crucial. They cut a vital supply line. They threaten Ryshne, which controls 2 supply lines. But even then, Ukraine can still manage to trickle down logistics and support into Pokrovsk from the north. But the first step Russia must take is reaching the E50. If they don't do that, this is going to be a devastating meat grinder fighting in Pokrovsk for the Russians. And I was going to show you the high-rise buildings here, the issues with it. We have Russians outside of them, and they're trying to push in down here, would be my suspicion. Corleone, I noticed this before, so the Russians are about to pick a fight with the Italian mafia. But let's see if this works a second time around. Talking about the high-rise buildings here where we have no indication that the Russians are in. So these are the high-rise buildings in that area we're talking about. This here, all of this, where the Russians claim they pushed all the way up to this street here, this street essentially. You can even take a look. You have trenches in the parks here. You can see it here. So this corner here is this corner. And the Russians claim they're in here, but all the evidence points to that Ukraine is in control. And you can even see here Russian artillery over the last couple of days in some of these images. Artillery strikes bombarding Ukrainian positions within this city block here with all of these high-rise buildings. And for Russia to push in here, it's going to demand tremendous amounts of resources. In an environment like this, before drones were a thing, you said you needed a 10-to-1 advantage against a defender. So for every defender in an area like this, you need 10 attackers. Now with drones, you're going to need 20 or 30, maybe 40 troops attacking for every defender. Because if one guy is sitting up here and looking down here, and from here he might see, all across the surrounding neighborhood, and he just calls in with a radio, we have enemy troops in this building. Then drones will keep an eye on that building, and when they see movement, they fly in and destroy them. So you're going to get accurate strikes on the enemy before they even reach the building where the guy is located. And if you want to push across, say you want to cross this street from this building to take this building, first of all you have to secure this entire area. Every building here, or every window, every black spot is a potential location for a sniper or a machine gunner. So now you need to cover every potential angle where you might get shot at, and that includes this building over here, this building over here. So you need a lot of troops to just aiming guns all over the place before you run across. And if you don't do that, chances are a machine gunner will just wipe you out as you're pushing across, or a sniper will kill you, and then you lose a couple of guys just running across this open space because you can't cover all the angles. So that's just this situation. I mean, imagine that situation, but take a look at the amounts of buildings here. And even if you make it inside, then every doorway is a potential booby trap. There might be tripwire in every doorway, every hole in the wall, every collapsed ceiling, and what have you. All of it can be booby trapped. Or there might be a guy hiding in the rubble, waiting with his weapon on full auto, because the moment you step through that doorway, you're entering into a dark room. You can't see anything, but he can see you because you have light behind you, and he's now going to open fire and kill 2 or 3 guys that are trying to step through that doorway. And then he calls, radios back that he's engaging targets, and then drones sweep in and start covering the area. A guy might relocate his machine gunner from over here, hurry down here, and then he can open fire on the enemy troops stacking up on the outside. I mean, it's just a shit show fighting in this environment without drones. Adding drones in, it's no fun at all. So for Russia to push into this area, it's gonna take days. I mean, a single building like this will take days to secure. Days. Each soldier will need dozens and dozens of magazines to fight their way through a defended building like this. Thousands of rounds of ammunition per soldier. You're going to need dozens and dozens of hand grenades to clear out a building per soldier. You're going to be throwing 2 or 3 hand grenades into each goddamn apartment, each goddamn room, to make sure there are not any enemies holed up in them, right? And with all the equipment, with all the ammunition and everything, you're going to get tired and you're going to get overheated. So you need to drink copious amounts of water fighting in buildings like this, in an environment like this. And remember, it's going to take days to take this building. When that is done, you're going to have to push out to the next building and do a rinse and repeat. So an insane amount of resources will go in to claiming this area for the Russians per soldier. So you're going to need 20 or 30 times the amount of Ukrainians defending, and you're going to need 20 or 30 times the amount of ammunition and hand grenades that the Ukrainians have stockpiled, right? It's just time consuming and resource consuming fighting through an area with high-rise buildings like this. So that the Russians are claiming that they're up here already is just ludicrous. It's complete fantasy, and if you believe that, you're not in touch with reality. Let's put it that way. So no, I mean no. And the thing is, even if you control this part of the building, this part might be held by the enemy. If you're in control of this floor, the floor above you could be held by the enemy, and the floor below you could be controlled by the enemy. Because even if you've secured a stairwell going all the way up, I mean, ceilings and rooftops have collapsed, floors have collapsed, so you can probably crawl back, between floors, not using elevator shafts, not using stairwells. So you're just crawling through collapsed ceilings and collapsed floors to gain a presence in various parts of the building. So you might have taken the stairwell and you might be in complete control of one floor here, but then the enemy just crawls through a hole in the ceiling and they come up behind you and control 2 or 3 apartments over here, cutting you off from the stairwell. And that could be the situation on every floor, right? In every building. So it's just, it is a complete nightmare fighting in this environment. And there's no chance in hell that the Russians have already pushed through this part of town and reached this street up here. It's not a thing. And that is why Pokrovsk is so dangerous for the Russians, and why the Ukrainians, they want to fight here. Pokrovsk, this city, and Mirnorod with it, favors the Ukrainian army. Here is where they stand a chance to actually fight the Russians on terms that only favor Ukraine. Attacking through here gives the Russians no benefits at all. This is a battlefield where Ukraine holds all the cards, where they determine initiative, momentum, and set the pace of everything. And we're seeing it as well in the statistics. In and around Pokrovsk, without really entering Pokrovsk properly yet, entering Mirnorod properly, they haven't even gotten close to Dobropilia. We've said this before. Russia has lost 34% of their losses in 2025 here in the area surrounding Pokrovsk. And that is without properly storming through these buildings. Right? This small, tiny battlefield in and around Pokrovsk is where Russia has suffered 34% of their casualties. And they haven't even begun pushing through Pokrovsk yet, or entering Mirnorod, or even trying to reach Dobropilia. So Ukraine wants to fight here. This only favors Ukraine. The Russians have no benefits at all in an environment like this. I mean, you can blow up a building like this with as much artillery and as many missiles as you want. There's always going to be places in this building where the enemy are safe. Down in the cellars, in culverts leading between buildings, underground passageways, sewers. They can hide up on rooftops, in stairwells, in elevator shafts. You can bombard a building like this until it's nothing but rubble, and you might still have enemies alive and holding a building. And even if you have 2 or 3 guys in the rubble defending it, remember, you need at least a 10 to 1 advantage. So if 3 guys are still alive, you're going to need 30 guys storming them, because they might just open up on full auto as you're trying to open this wide open space, as you're trying to cross this wide open space, and cut you down. So Pokrovsk, Pokrovsk is not gonna fall before the year's end. I'm gonna stick my chin out. I said that I wouldn't be rambling, but here I am rambling and ranting anyway. Was that the first recording when I said I wouldn't make a long video? But it probably will be a long video, because I'm gonna find something to rant about, and here I am. So yeah, urban combat. It's a bitch if you're trying to attack, and it only favors the defender. So this video became much longer than I thought because I ended up ranting like I always do. Jesus Christ. And we're going to finish off here real quick. Russia is advancing down here. It is important. It really is important because they're moving past the Sirsky line here. So down here, the Russians are bypassing the Sirsky line. But like we've said, it's been so slow going for the Russians. It's been ongoing for months. So Ukraine has had ample time to build additional defenses. So I'm going to assume they have. We'll see if it's true. But you have some towns over here that are more than likely natural anchors for the defense. Prozhiana, Pokrovsk, Ternuvate, and Huliapol. And you also have a river here that is a natural obstacle in the terrain. So I'm thinking Ukraine might have built a new defensive line back here. And you also have, as you can see, some rivers here, water features that could well and truly help out with the defenses. So question is, will Russia find themselves trapped in this area here, even if they are bypassing the Sirsky line? Can they move past this river, and get past here as well? Or will they get trapped and boxed in here between these water features? That is the big question. Same thing down here. Can they bypass all of this? They might come in south of Huliapole, maybe they will figure out that this is a bad situation and they will try and come up here instead. Wouldn't surprise me if that's the case, because the Ukrainians have had a lot of time to prepare defenses down here since the advance over here has been so slow going. The Russians are also stuck here. They can't really push past this point either. We've seen them moving troops from Shevchenko, Dachna down here to try and reinforce this part of the battlefield. We'll see if that has any impact in the end. But they are struggling down here specifically. They have issues trying to push back. Again, water features with strong defensive lines along them. We'll see if the Russians manage to push past here. But yeah, the important thing is to contain the Russians down here so that they cannot come up behind Ukrainian defensive lines and exploit the fact that they can begin operating in territory with far fewer Ukrainian defensive positions than along the Sirsky line and between these Russian positions and the Sirsky line. So Ukraine needs to contain this push down here. Anyway, that's going to have to be it. I've been ranting for far too long, especially about urban warfare and those high-rise buildings. Well, that's it. I hope you found it interesting, and we'll see what the mappers update during the day. Maybe we will see some big Russian advances updated on the maps. You never know. It's happened before. Or we might see Ukraine pushing the Russians back further still north of Pokrovsk. Not entirely unthinkable. We'll see what happens. Anyway, as always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.